Your dog's kibble might be slowly poisoning them. And the worst part? The bag probably has a picture of a happy golden retriever on it. Maybe some wheat stalks. Definitely the word natural plastered somewhere. But flip it over. Read past the marketing fluff. And you'll find ingredients that wouldn't pass as food in a prison cafeteria. Here's the thing. Canada has some of the loosest pet food regulations in the developed world. We're talking about an industry where you can slap premium on a bag of corn and chicken beaks, charge $80 and call it a day. No one's checking. Well, almost no one. I spent 3 weeks reading ingredient labels, talking to veterinary nutritionists, and diving into recall databases. And what I found: 9 brands that Canadians buy every single day that range from nutritionally bankrupt to genuinely concerning. I'll tell you about the 2 brands actually worth your money. Let's start with the worst offender. The bag looks amazing. Bright colors, images of fresh vegetables, happy dogs doing happy dog things. Open the bag and it literally smells like Fruit Loops. That should be your first red flag. Check the ingredients. Corn is the #1 ingredient. Not chicken, not beef. Using corn as the primary ingredient is the cheapest possible way to hit the minimum protein requirement. It's filler. Empty calories. The equivalent of feeding your kid nothing but white bread and expecting them to thrive. But it gets better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. Ingredient #4 is something called meat and bone meal. Sounds protein-rich, right? Except meat and bone meal is industry code for whatever they swept off the slaughterhouse floor. We're talking about rendered parts from animals that were dead, dying, diseased, or disabled before processing. The 4 Ds, as they're called in the industry. In 2016, Beneful faced a class action lawsuit in California. Pet owners claimed the food was killing their dogs. They cited internal bleeding, liver malfunction, and vomiting. Purina, the parent company, denied everything. The case was eventually dismissed. But here's the thing. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And Benevol. That's a 5-alarm blaze. Canadian pet stores still stock this stuff on eye-level shelves. It's one of the top sellers at grocery stores nationwide. And every time someone buys a bag, they're essentially gambling with their dog's long-term health. Next, #8. Pedigree. Pedigree is the McDonald's of dog food. Everywhere, cheap, and technically keeps your dog alive. But should it? That's a different question entirely. Pop quiz. What's the first ingredient in Pedigree Adult Complete Nutrition? If you said meat, you'd be wrong. It's corn. Again, sensing a pattern here? But Pedigree takes it a step further. The second ingredient is meat and bone meal. Third, corn gluten meal. Fourth, soybean meal. Let me translate. You're paying for 3 different versions of cheap filler and mystery meat. It's like ordering a burger and getting a bun, some ambiguous protein paste, and another bun. Oh, and the ketchup is made from more buns. Now Pedigree will tell you they meet LFGO standards. And yes, Canada uses their guidelines too. But here's what they won't tell you. AFCO standards are the bare minimum. It's like saying your car meets the legal definition of having wheels. Technically true. Completely missing the point. Veterinary nutritionist Dr. Lisa Freeman did a study analyzing commercial pet foods. Her finding? Brands that rely heavily on plant-based proteins and meat byproducts showed significantly higher rates of nutritional deficiencies over time. Pedigree checks both boxes. Pedigree uses artificial colors. Red 40, yellow 5, blue 2. Your dog is colorblind. They don't care if their kibble is brown or rainbow. Those dyes are there for you, the human buyer, and they're linked to behavioral issues in dogs. Some studies even suggest carcinogenic properties at high doses. At least the kibble looks appealing in the bowl, right? #7. Ol' Roy. This one's interesting because it's a Walmart exclusive. You can only get Ol' Roy at Walmart. And that should tell you everything you need to know about the quality standards here. Ol' Roy is cheap. Like really cheap. You can get a 25-pound bag for about 20 Canadian dollars. That works out to less than $1 per pound. Now, quick economics lesson. Dog food companies aren't charities. What do you think the actual ingredient cost is? Maybe 20 cents? 30, if we're being generous. The primary ingredient is ground yellow corn. Then we've got meat and bone meal. Then soybean meal. Are you noticing a theme yet? Every budget brand is basically repackaging the same garbage with different label art. But Old Roy has a special distinction. In 2018, the FDA investigated multiple reports of vitamin D toxicity in certain Old Roy formulas. Too much vitamin D causes kidney failure in dogs. The symptoms are brutal: excessive thirst, vomiting, loss of appetite, and eventually, organ shutdown. Walmart issued a quiet recall. No big announcement, just pulled the affected lots and hoped no one noticed. Here's the problem. These aren't isolated incidents. Budget brands like Old Roy operate on razor-thin margins. Quality control costs money. Testing costs money. Using actual meat costs money. So corners get cut. And your dog pays the price. Number 6. Iams Now. We're getting into brands that surprise people. Iams has been around since 1946. They sponsor dog shows. They have veterinarian endorsements on their website. They seem legitimate. And that's exactly the problem. Iams engages in something called ingredient splitting. Here's how it works. The first ingredient is chicken, right? But then ingredients 3, 4, 5, and 6 are corn grits, ground whole grain corn, ground whole grain sorghum, and dried beet pulp. All cheap fillers. If you combine those corn and grain ingredients, they'd outweigh the chicken by a massive margin. But by splitting them into separate line items, they get to put chicken first. It's not illegal. It's just deceptive. Like a restaurant advertising fresh salmon, but the plate is 90% mashed potatoes with a salmon garnish. Iams also uses something called chicken byproduct meal. Byproducts are the parts of the chicken not suitable for human consumption. Feet, beaks, intestines, feathers. Technically protein, but not exactly what you picture when you hear chicken. And here's the kicker. The quality of byproduct meal varies wildly. There's no standardization. One batch might be mostly organ meat, which is actually nutritious. The next batch might be mostly beaks and feathers. You're rolling the dice. In 2013, Iams recalled products due to potential salmonella contamination. In 2010, another recall for the same reason. It can spread to humans who handle the food. Your kid reaches into the food bin, doesn't wash their hands, eats a snack. Boom. You've got a salmonella outbreak on your hands. Number 5. Purina Dog Chow. Purina is a massive company. They own dozens of brands. Some are decent. Dog Chow is not one of them. Ground yellow corn. That's ingredient number 1. Meat and bone meal is number 2. Corn gluten meal number 3. At this point, I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but that's because these companies are all reading from the same playbook. Maximize profit, minimize ingredient cost, rely on brand recognition to move product. But Purina Dog Chow has an extra fun ingredient. Something called animal fat preserved with mixed tocopherols. Animal fat, not chicken fat, not beef fat, just animal. Could be anything. Dog, cat, roadkill. The rendering industry doesn't discriminate. If it's dead and has fat, it's fair game. The mixed tocopherols are a preservative, essentially vitamin E. That part's fine. And before you think I'm being dramatic, the FDA has repeatedly found pentobarbital in some commercial dog foods. Pentobarbital is a euthanasia drug. It's used to put animals down. The only way it gets into dog food is if euthanized animals are being rendered and used as ingredients. Purina has never been directly linked to pentobarbital contamination, but they source from rendering plants that process everything. And when you use vague terms like animal fat, you're not exactly inspiring confidence in your supply chain transparency. Number 4. Kibbles and Bits. This brand is owned by the same parent company as Old Roy. Sensing a quality pattern here? Kibbles and Bits markets itself as fun food for dogs. The kibble comes in different colors and shapes. Some pieces are crunchy. Some are meaty. It's like a dog party in a bag. Except the party is actually a nutritional disaster disguised as variety. First ingredient? Corn. Shocker. Second, soybean meal. Third, beef and bone meal. Notice they said beef and bone meal, not just bone meal. That's because they're legally required to specify the species if they're going to use the word beef. But it's still rendered mystery meat from dead livestock. The meaty bits in Kibbles and Bits are mostly soy protein concentrate shaped and flavored to resemble meat. It's the hot dog of dog food. Technically food, technically contains protein, but calling it nutritious is a stretch that would make a yoga instructor jealous. Here's a fun fact. Cubbles and Bits uses propylene glycol as a preservative in some formulas. Propylene glycol is the same stuff in antifreeze. Now, before you panic, it's considered safe in small amounts. It's even used in some human foods. But do you really want to feed your dog something that shares an ingredient with antifreeze? That's a personal choice. But my answer is a hard no. Number 3. Gravy Train. The name alone should be a warning. Any dog food with gravy in the title is probably compensating for something. In this case, it's compensating for being nutritionally bankrupt. Corn, wheat, and soybean meal. That's 3 grains and mystery meat. The gravy they're so proud of. It's mostly water, corn syrup, and artificial flavoring. It's not real gravy. It's brown-colored sugar water designed to trick your dog into eating garbage. But here's where Gravy Train gets really interesting. The FDA issued a warning after finding pentobarbital in multiple Gravy Train products. Remember pentobarbital, the euthanasia drug? Yeah, that one. The contamination was traced back to the rendering process. Euthanized animals were being processed and used in the food supply. The company issued a recall. They claimed it was an isolated incident. They promised better quality control. But here's the thing. It can happen again. And when you're buying the cheapest possible ingredients from the lowest bidder, you're always gambling. Canadian stores still stock Gravy Train. It's usually on the bottom shelf, right next to Old Roy. And every time someone buys a bag because it's cheap, they're potentially exposing their dog to contaminated food. Not worth the risk. Not even close. Number 2. Alpo. They used to be huge. Commercials everywhere. Celebrity endorsements. The whole 9 yards. But the brand has declined significantly in recent years. And for good reason. Ground yellow corn. Meat and bone meal. Soybean meal. I could copy and paste this ingredient list from the last 5 brands and you wouldn't notice the difference. It's the same junk in a different bag. But Alpo has earned its spot near the top of this list for one specific reason. Their wet food formulas. Alpo canned food is some of the lowest quality stuff on the market. The meat content is minimal. The gravy is mostly water and thickeners. And the nutritional density is so low that you'd need to feed your dog twice as much to meet their caloric needs. Here's a comparison. A high-quality wet food might have 400 calories per 13-ounce can. Alpo has about 280. That means you're paying for water weight. Expensive water that your dog pisses out 6 hours later. Alpo also has a history of recalls. 2007, melamine contamination. 2016, potential choking hazard from bone fragments. When a brand has multiple recalls across different issues, it's not bad luck. It's bad management. Number 1. Caesar. And here we are. The worst dog food you can buy in Canada. Caesar markets itself as gourmet food for small dogs. The portions are small and cute. The price point is premium. And that's the con. You're paying luxury prices for bottom-tier ingredients. Let's look at Caesar Filet Mignon flavor. Sounds fancy, right? The first ingredient is water. Not meat. Water. Ingredient 2 is meat byproducts. Ingredient 3 is beef. But notice the order. There's more water and byproducts than actual beef. In a product called Filet Mignon, the meat content in Caesar is so low that it barely qualifies as a meat-based food. It's mostly water, thickeners, and flavor enhancers, designed to trick your dog's nose into thinking they're eating something premium. It's the spray-on tan of dog food. Looks good at first glance. Falls apart under scrutiny. Caesar also uses caramel color in many formulas. Caramel color is a cosmetic additive. It makes the food look more appealing. But certain types of caramel color contain a compound called 4-methylimidazole, which has been linked to cancer in laboratory animals. Is the amount in dog food enough to cause cancer? Probably not. But why risk it? Why add cosmetic chemicals to food when they serve no nutritional purpose? And here's the real kicker. Caesar costs about twice as much per ounce as mid-tier brands. You're paying a premium for inferior ingredients wrapped in clever marketing. It's a scam. Plain and simple. Small dog owners, I know you want the best for your pup. But Caesar is not it. You're better off buying almost anything else. Okay, deep breath. That was a lot of bad news. 9 brands to avoid. And if you're currently feeding your dog any of these, don't panic. Dogs are resilient. Switch them to something better, and they'll be fine. But here's what you actually came for. The 2 brands worth buying. The good stuff number 2. Orijen. Orijen is a Canadian company based in Alberta, and they're one of the few brands that actually lives up to their marketing. The ingredient list reads like a butcher shop menu. Fresh chicken, turkey, whole herring, flounder, chicken liver, turkey liver, chicken heart, whole eggs, real meat, real organs, real fish. The first 15 ingredients are all animal-based protein sources. No corn, no wheat, no soy, no mystery meal. Orijen uses what they call biologically appropriate nutrition. The idea is simple. Dogs are descended from wolves. Prey animals are mostly meat with some organs and bones. Therefore, dog food should mimic that ratio. 15% vegetables and fruits. Now, Orijen is expensive. A 25-pound bag runs about 130 Canadian dollars. That's more than 6 times the cost of Ol' Roy. But here's the thing. You feed less, because the food is so nutrient-dense. Dogs need smaller portions to meet their caloric needs. A 50-pound dog might eat 4 cups of cheap food per day, but only 2 cups of Orijen, so the cost per day actually evens out. Orijen has never had a recall. Not once. Their manufacturing facility is HACCP certified, which is the gold standard in food safety. They source their ingredients from local Canadian farms. Everything is traceable. If there's chicken in the bag, they can tell you which farm it came from and when it was processed. Is Orijen perfect? No. Some dogs don't do well on super high-protein diets. If your dog has kidney issues, talk to your vet first. But for healthy dogs, Orijen is about as good as it gets. The good stuff number 1. First Mate, and the top spot goes to First Mate. Another Canadian company, this one based in British Columbia. First Mate does something almost no other brand does. Single-source protein and limited ingredients. Their Pacific Ocean fish formula has 7 ingredients total. Potato, fish meal, fish, chicken fat, blueberries, cranberries, and minerals. That's it. No filler. No mystery meal. No weird chemical preservatives. Why does this matter? Allergies. A huge percentage of dogs develop food sensitivities over time. And when your dog is eating a food with 40 ingredients, figuring out which one is causing the problem is nearly impossible. With First Mate, if your dog reacts, you know exactly what to eliminate. First Mate also owns their manufacturing facility. They don't contract out production. This means total quality control. Every batch is made in the same place by the same people using the same processes. Consistency matters. And here's the coolest part. First Mate uses a slow cooking method that preserves more nutrients than standard extrusion. Most kibble is made by shooting ingredients through a high-heat extruder at insane speeds. It's fast and cheap, but it destroys a lot of the nutritional content. First Mate's process takes longer but results in food that's closer to its natural state. Price-wise, First Mate sits between mid-tier and premium. About $90 for a 25-pound bag. More than grocery store brands, but less than ultra-premium options. And like Orijen, you feed less because of the nutrient density. First Mate has had 1 recall in their 30-year history. Back in 2012, voluntary recall due to potential salmonella. They caught it during routine testing before any dogs got sick. That's exactly how recalls should work. Proactive, transparent, responsible. So there you have it. 9 brands to avoid and 2 worth buying. If your dog is currently eating anything from the avoid list, don't feel bad. You didn't know. But now you do. And knowledge is power. Switch them gradually over 7 to 10 days. Mix the new food with the old, slowly increasing the ratio. This prevents digestive upset and helps your dog adjust. Your dog can't read ingredient labels. They can't Google dog food reviews. They depend on you to make the right choice. And choosing the right food is one of the most important decisions you'll make for their health. Better food means more energy, shinier coat, healthier weight, and potentially years added to their life. Worth it? Absolutely.